Well, Toolerinos, I finished the quick cleanup on these with the wire brush in preparation for getting them into Rust-Oleum bath. These vice grips are Benchtop brand. You know, I'm sure they're not made in USA, but if they still work with a new spring, then, you know, they can go into my son's shop. This chisel just says wear safety goggles. I could not find anything else on that. I could not read anything on those. I did put PB Blaster on this and tried to get that to move. I could not get that to move, which is surprising because it's not really that rusted. This is really rusted. Pretty bad. It's got pieces of the blade rusted through, so I'm not going to waste Evaporust on that. That's going in the trash. The scissors are cheapo, made in China, but if they'll still work for a little bit, you know, could use them to cut sandpaper or something, right? I could not read anything on the channel locks, so I don't know if they're real channel locks or knockoffs, but there again, they can get cleaned up and go to my son's shop. This is cleaned up pretty well, and I expect it to work after it's cleaned in Evaporust completely. The hex wrench just says 1/2 inch USA, but unfortunately this end is pretty nasty, chewed looking. But interestingly, the knife, after I wire brushed it, it says Dan 2019. So I would assume this is somebody's homemade knife, made from an actual railroad spike, just a style of railroad spike I've never seen before. Maybe it's a more modern one I'm not familiar with, you know. But there was a gem in this box. Snap-on. Huzzah! So the tie rod end or ball joint separator is a snap-on. A201 USA, wear safety goggles. So now I'm going to get them in an Evaporust bath. Let's see how many of these things we can fit in here. Gotta try to fit them in like a puzzle. Alright, it's all in and it's all immersed. I'm sure they will come out looking a lot better. Hey Toolerinos, I finished cleaning up these rusty tools, at least as much as I'm going to for the time being. The little needle nose pliers turned out pretty good. One pair is totally salvageable and usable. I tightened them up a little bit and they're nice. This pair, the one jaw was busted off, and I thought maybe I'd just reprofile it, but I also found that the jaw doesn't completely close, so I think I'm just going to pitch those. The pop rivet gun turned out very nice. It is fully functional. I tested it on a few pop rivets and it works as expected. It's got 4 sizes. The spring is perfect, and it's all nice and clean inside. So nice pair of pop rivet, or a nice pop rivet tool. I will probably give that to my son because it has very long handles, which will be helpful if you have a little less strength to work the pop rivet. Alright, next item here is a rusty pair of channel locks. They're not channel lock brand, I don't think. They're very pitted. but they work just fine. They're derusted, and I think I'll just give these to my son for his shop, since you know, he has a tendency to leave things out. So be it. And then this is again a no-name, probably foreign-made diagonal cutter, and the cutter looks perfect. It doesn't look like it was ever used, so he can have that in his shop too. This most likely foreign-made Lauren clamp did loosen up finally after a long time in evaporust. It had to go in a little bit longer than everything else, and I was finally able to break it loose. But it spins just fine now, and so my son can have that as well. The ball joint separator, or tie rod end separator, is a snap-on, and it's quite a bit pitted here and there, but you know, obviously it would still work. So I've got some of these kind of no-name, so I think I'll probably swap out the no-name one to him, and I'll keep this in my shop. Cheapo Chinese scissors here. They more or less work. We'll probably use them. We'll probably abuse them until they don't work, and then we can get rid of them. The knife, the railroad spike knife, Dan 2019. It's got some heavy scale. It's you know, it's got some pitting. It's not a showpiece, but I think I'll offer it to my blacksmithing friend Matt Nash at work and see if he'd like to attempt to retool it and refine it a bit. This cold chisel is also heavily pitted here, but would still work. So we'll just probably sharpen it, straighten that out a little bit. It's a little crooked, whoever last ground it. The bench top vice grips. I need to put a spring in there, and I think it's been in evaporust, it's been wire brushed, and then I scraped some heavily scaled areas, so I'm probably going to put it back in the evaporust for a couple more days, and then do a final wire brush on it and get a spring in there, and they'll work. They're made in Taiwan. You know, they're probably not quite as good as real vice grip, but there again, they can go to my son's shop, and he can abuse them out there. So back in the bath they go. And then the Husky Torx driver thing, it all came out pretty nice. De-rusted, lubed up a little bit to keep from re-rusting. And my son said he wanted that, so that's going to his shop as well. And these tools, I'm not sure what to do with these. Maybe they'll find their way to Magdad, see if he'd like to do something with them. And this is heavily pitted as well, and a little bit stripped looking at the short end, so not sure if I'm going to hang on to that or what I'm going to do with that. And there's a little drive tool. So that's about it. I have not been able to test the flashlight or do anything with this lighter. They're probably going to hang around for a little while longer, and some other piles of stuff. I am also still planning to put those in the rock tumbler just to see what happens. Alright, time to clean this mess up and start another mess.